German midfielder Florian Wirtz has been lighting every facet of football alight, from the Bundesliga to the UCL and even the Euros. Wirtz is an ode to yesterday's player, a young man who loves the game more than anything else and prefers to talk on the pitch instead of the media. Although Wirtz makes football appear easy at the moment, that was not always the case for the talented German youngster. Born in 2003 in Polheim, Germany, Wirtz started playing football at a young age, and by the time he was 5 years old, he had joined a local club, SV Green-White Brauweiler. And 2 years later, he made his move to major German side, Cologne. Wirtz was a very promising talent in the Cologne youth setup, eventually making his way onto the U17 team as a 15-year-old in 2018. Wirtz managed 4 goal involvements in 11 games in the German Youth League as Cologne went on to win the league, with Wirtz getting a goal and an assist in the playoffs. Wirtz was also on the youth national team, but played very sparingly. Wirtz had a very high IQ with tremendous athleticism and a world-class skill set on the ball, with his dribbling and an eye for a pass. Going into the 1920 season with Cologne, Wirtz tore an outer ligament in the summer of 2019, which would hold him out for 7 weeks, causing him to miss the first 4 games of the season. However, upon returning from the injury, Wirtz looked better than ever as he began to captain the team while scoring 8 in his next 10, while also registering an assist. Although, those would be the last recorded goals for Cologne, with Wirtz grabbing the attention of most scouts and teams in the area and an expiring contract, Wirtz seemed to be looking for his next jump. Teams such as Barcelona, Juventus, and German giants Bayern Munich were in talks. But the parents of Florian wanted him to stay close by, and neighboring club Bayer Leverkusen jumped at the chance to sign Wirtz for €200,000. Typically, this would not be a big deal. However, this move broke an almost 25-year gentleman's agreement. In 2001, Cologne signed Marco Quashala from Leverkusen. As mentioned before, this would typically not be a big deal, just one Bundesliga club selling a player to another. However, Marco was 12 years old when he signed, and Cologne signed him on an 8-year deal. Signing a player that young to a contract like that was unheard of at the time. In an attempt to protect young talent in the Rhine, clubs Leverkusen, Cologne, and Borussia Mönchengladbach made a gentleman's agreement to not sign each other's youth players. With that being said, it is important to note that this agreement had nothing to do with senior squad players. Cologne still felt backstabbed by their neighboring club, with then-manager Stefan Baumgart saying Leverkusen, quote, broke an agreement between Cologne, Leverkusen, and Mönchengladbach. That this was ignored shows us what kind of business we are in, end quote. Leverkusen responded by saying that their plan for young Wirtz was to make him a senior squad player and that they saw an opportunity to sign the talented youngster and had to take it. Starting with the under-19s for Leverkusen, Wirtz played 4 games before making his Bundesliga debut on May 18th of 2020. Playing on the right wing against Werder Bremen. However, 3 weeks later, league leaders Bayern Munich arrived at the Bayer Arena, and although Leverkusen jumped out to an early lead, they would ultimately be crushed, but not before young Florian Wirtz grabbed his first ever league goal in the 89th minute. This goal was Wirtz's only goal involvement of the year, as he didn't play very many minutes, mostly coming on as a substitute. However, the 2021 season was different. Wirtz found himself getting a lot more game time, playing more as a number 10 opposed to the right wing, which is where he spent most of last season. Wirtz was thriving in the middle of the pitch for Leverkusen as he had a much freer role to impact the game, as he finished with 5 goals and 6 assists, being only 18 at the time. Wirtz was continuing to show promise, nearly missing out on the 2020 senior German Euro team, but started in the U21 German team as they won the Euro final. After finishing 6th, Leverkusen manager Peter Bosz was sacked and Swiss manager Gerardo Seoane took over. Leverkusen had been active in the market in the last few years, raising big money after selling Kai Havertz for $80 million in 2021 and Leon Bailey for $32 million the following season. With two of their most important pieces leaving, someone needed to step up, and who better than young phenom Florian Wirtz. Wirtz missed the first game of the season through injury, but upon his return hit the ground running, scoring or assisting in the next 7 straight matches. He was absolutely unplayable, playing from both the left wing and the number 10 role. Wirtz seemed to be involved in all things positive for Leverkusen as they were competing for European tournament football. However, things would come to a screeching halt as on March 13th in a match against rivals in Wirtz's former club, Köln, he would go down with a severe-looking injury in the 28th minute. A few days later, we would find out Wirtz did his ACL and would miss the rest of the season as well as the World Cup. Although missing the last 8 games of the season, Wirtz still finished with 7 goals and 10 assists, his most productive season up to this point. But with a very significant injury, would we ever see Wirtz at his best, or would he join the long list of talented youngsters scythed down by injury? Without Wirtz, Leverkusen started the season in extremely poor form, winning 1 out of their first 8. This led to the sacking of Seoane after a 4-0 loss to Bayern Munich. Leverkusen hired from the inside, appointing Xabi Alonso, and although he was a great player, he had next to no experience coaching. He was able to steady the ship, and with the return of Wirtz in late January, the team took off. Wirtz showed no signs of having lost a step. He was explosive and dynamic as ever, with his high IQ and ball technique at an even higher level. After playing in 17 games, he would go on to score 1 goal and assist in 6, as well as having some great performances in the Europa League, scoring 3 and assisting 2. Alonso's first season as a manager was promising, but what happened next is something no one saw coming. After selling winger Moussa Diaby for $55 million and signing veteran midfield Granit Xhaka as well as young striker Victor Boniface, Wirtz was being looked at as one of the stars of the team. Even though he was only 20, Leverkusen and Alonso's decision to put their trust in the young German was quickly rewarded, scoring in the opening match of the season and never looking back. Wirtz was passing every metric with flying colors, with both the eye test and the numbers game. Along with Wirtz, the entire Leverkusen team was on fire as they smashed every team in front of them, Bayern Munich included. Wirtz was not only destroying Bundesliga opposition, but also European teams in the Europa League, while also having standout performances in the Pokal. By mid-April, Leverkusen won the league for the first time in their 120-year history, going invincible as well. They would also do the double, winning the Pokal, and were 1 match away from completing the treble, but fell short against Italian side Atalanta in the Europa League final. Wirtz would go on to win Bundesliga Player of the Season. The year of dominance would continue as he played in all 5 games for Germany in the Euros, grabbing 2 goals before exiting the competition to eventual winners Spain, totaling 20 goals, 20 assists in 54 games for club and country across all competitions. Wirtz is not only one of the best young players in the world, but also one of the best players to watch. Football is watched for entertainment, and that is exactly what Wirtz gives. He is truly pure cinema. That's why he is currently valued at 140 million euros according to Transfer Market, making him one of the most valuable players in the world.